Hi everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's card tutorial, we're going to be making this card today. And this card uses the MoreLoveBugs2Stamp set that came out earlier this month, as well as a brand new sentiment set, which is called HeartWords2Stamp. And both of these sets are from the Stamps of Life. And the HeartWords2Stamp, it comes with these sentiments that you see here. It has miss you, thank you, thinking of you, best wishes, and hello. There are also dies that can actually cut these sentiments out. So usually we're used to just having sentiments that we just stamp on our cards, and then if we wanted to cut them out, we can. This set actually has matching dies that will cut out the entire outline of the actual stamp. And what's also unique about this set is that if you look at the ends of each of the letters, for example, at the end of the M in miss, at the end of the U in you, there are hearts at the end. So you can see the hearts on the ends of all of those letters and all of those sentiments. And if you wanted to, you can actually take your markers and color those in just for an extra special touch. So for my card, I stamped two of the flowers from the MoreLoveBugs2Stamp set onto some Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock, and I cut them out with a rectangle die. And the ink that I used to stamp those is the Memento black ink, and the reason that I chose that ink is because I am going to be doing some coloring with my alcohol markers, and I did not want my ink to smear. So I'm going to be creating a cloud background behind the flowers on this card. So I die cut a thick piece of cardstock from my cloud border die from the Stamps of Life, and I'm going to use that as my stencil to make my cloud background. Now when I do my ink blending, in order for the ink not to get on my stamped images, I stamped out on some masking paper those same images, and I'm going to fussy cut them out. So just taking my scissors and cutting out those masks. And I'm trying to get as close to the border of that ink as possible when I'm cutting out those images. So after I fussy cut both of those flowers, I'm going to peel back the back side of that mask, and then I'm going to adhere the mask directly over top of the flowers. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just putting another layer of paper over top of those flowers so that when I do my ink blending, all of the ink does not get on my flower images that I need to color. So next I'm just going to make sure that this panel is taped down to my glass mat, so just adding some purple tape underneath. And then I'm going to take my stencil that I made with the cloud, and I'm using my sky ink from the Stamps of Life and a blending brush, and I'm just going to start adding some ink to my paper. So I start with the stencil all the way at the top of that cardstock layer, and I add some sky ink, and then when I finish with the first row, I move the stencil down. Not only move it down, but I also move it either to the left or to the right so that I don't have the same cloud pattern going all the way down the cardstock layer. And I just continue with that process all the way through that entire layer. And when I get to those flowers, you'll see that the ink is not even going to go on top of the flower. Instead, it's going to go on top of the mask. And you can actually reuse these masks if you decide to do another card with these flowers. So you can just save that with your dies and you can use it later on. Now, I don't know what kind of masking paper this is that I used. It was just some that I had in my stash, but you can just do a search on Amazon for masking paper and I'm sure that some will show up. And then I continue going all the way down to the bottom until I finish with this process. And once I finish adding the ink, I will just peel back the masks and it will reveal the beautiful white flowers that I'm getting ready to color now. So I'm going to be using my Arteza Everblend alcohol markers, and I previously did a review on these, and I will link that video down below in case you're interested in seeing them. And I color up my greens with the olive green as my dark and then the lime green as my light. So I'm just doing a two-color blend, and I will go over this 2 times. I always find that if I go over it twice, it just adds a little bit more contrast and makes the colors a little bit more vibrant. And I'm going to do that for both. Now, the review that I did was the Arteza Everblend. It was the 60 count marker set, and I'm also going to be reviewing the 120 count marker set because they did send me the full set of markers, because I did tell them that, you know, there were some colors in there that I really wished I had, so they went ahead and sent that to me, so I'm looking forward to doing a review of those. So be sure to stay tuned to my YouTube channel for when that video is posted. So I decided to do every other petal a darker orange and every other petal a lighter orange. So on the darker petals, I use pumpkin orange, apricot, and peach. And on the lighter petals, I use apricot, peach, and pale peach. And because there's an odd number of petals, those two petals right there that are side by side are going to be two dark petals side by side. And in the end, when they're all colored up, you really can't tell that there's two petals that are the same color next to each other. It just looks beautiful either way. So if you didn't get a chance to see my previous video that I posted using the LoveBugs2Stamp set, make sure you do check that out. And in that video, I did use the two love bugs, one from the LoveBugs2Stamp set as well as one from the MoreLoveBugs2Stamp set. And I also used the heart-shaped flower on that card. And I did some coloring with some Copic markers on that one, and I think it turned out really cute. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. So for the middle, I'm using some yellows, and I start with the yellow ochre color, which is the darkest, and then I come in with the BumbleBee Yellow, followed by the Jasmine Yellow. And I just blend those together. And then I come in with those same colors again and just add little dots throughout the center of the flower, because that just adds some texture. So I do that with all three colors, the dark, the medium, and light, and I just go over the center with that. And then for the heart, I am using some purples, and I'm using the royal purple, the lavender, and the periwinkle. Now, one thing about the 60 count of the Arteza markers is that some of the purples, I just think that it needed some more colors. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at the 120 pack, seeing if there are a more variety of colors that you can do shading with those purples. For the petals on the heart flower, I do bring in the purples again. This time I color every single petal with the royal purple at the bottom of the petal. That's my dark. Then I come in with the lavender and then the periwinkle. So I didn't do like I did with the previous flower where I did every other petal dark and every other petal light. I just colored them all the same, and I really love how this is turning out. Now, if you are on the market for alcohol markers, I will say that the Arteza Everblend markers are a good alternative to Copics. I'm going to also say that they're not as good as Copics, because Copics are like the best of the best when it comes to alcohol markers, in my opinion. However, the Arteza Everblend, they do a decent job, and they are great for beginners, and they are reasonably priced. So if you are interested in these markers, I will have a link down below, and you can go check that out. So for the center, I do color up with my yellows on the small circle. Same yellows that I used in the previous flower, because I wanted to stick with the same color scheme. So I'm only using 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors on these flowers, between the green, the purple, the yellow, and the orange. And then the center of that purple flower will be the same oranges that I used on the other flower as well. So starting out with my dark, then my mid-tone, and then my light off to the right side. I do come in with my darker oranges and do add some dots, just like I did with the opposite flower, just adding some more contrast and more dimension to the center of that flower. I also bring in a darker orange, which is the Vermillion color, and add extra dots with that color. So here I'm using my grass border die from the border set, which I cut out of some kiwi cardstock, and now I'm just adding some kiwi ink to the edge of that border. And to add a little bit of texture, I just dab my blending tool right on top, just to add some texture to the top of that cardstock, and that border is going to go towards the bottom of my card layer. So when I added the grass border, it did extend beyond the edge of that card layer, so I just snipped off the excess kiwi cardstock, and then I just added glue to the back of that and added it to an A2 size card base in the marigold color cardstock. And I did stamp out the thinking of you sentiment right on top of that card layer. And then I'm taking my Spectrum Sparkle pen and I'm just adding a clear overlay, which is in just clear glitter, it's a glitter pen, over those flowers just to add some sparkle. And that completes this card. So if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like and leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this card, and be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.